All right, testing, testing. Ooh, my hair. All right. Where I'm streaming. All right. Hello. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Oof. What is the white balance of the camera? Is it good? Uh, can I change it now? I think it's good. Yeah, I think I was touching it before. It's fine. So, am I recording? Am I live? All right, I am. Good morning, everyone. Let's do the typical 3, 2, 1. Hello, hello. This is Jose Luis at Parametric Camp, and if you're new to the channel, this we do computational design live streams. We live stream most Friday mornings. I haven't been great this summer at doing it, and we just go live. We write code, we record tutorials here live, and then we edit them, and then we post them as slightly more polished versions of what we do. If you want to know what we do, you can follow us on social media. We are particularly active on Instagram and Discord. We have a lot of offline during the week conversations on the Discord server. People post questions there, etc., etc. If you want to join the Discord server, there's a link to the server on the description of this video. And also we have a Google Calendar. You can subscribe to the calendar and then you will get notifications and events of when do we go live. Except for this week where I just woke up this morning and I decided, let's just go live streaming, okay? So I didn't quite prepare for this at all. I suspect this will go over my head, but I'm tuning in anyway. Why do you think that, Scott? Maybe you shouldn't, you know? So, what are we doing today? So, for the longest time, I have been wanting to make a playlist, to record a playlist, like a series of videos, like a small course, right, on creating APIs. And what does that mean? Well, let me tell you. So if I go, for example, to the OpenAI API, right, what you're going to see is that there is this area called the developer platform, which means that you can interact with the OpenAI stuff with this code, whatever this means, right? And there's this thing here called endpoints. And if you go to the endpoints and chat completions, so you can see that you can ping those endpoints with this code, whatever that means. You can go to the API reference if you want to actually learn more. And you can see that in the reference, you're going to get, oh, if you want to get a completion, you got to post on this URL, which is what they're calling the endpoint. And there's all these parameters you got to use, etc., etc. So what does this mean? What it means is that basically OpenAI and many other companies, what they do is that they provide services, digital services, in this case, image generation, image completion, text completion, etc., etc. But the way they do it is that instead of giving you a software package that you download and you install on your machine, they have this service running in the cloud that you can access using what's called a REST API. And what that means is that you can basically go to this link, this URL, in a particular way that is not the typical that we use with browsers, and then submit some information and then get a response back. The idea is that what they're basically doing, and maybe there's probably some diagram here. Yeah, actually, that's not too bad. No, I don't like this one. This one. So the idea is that an API is basically a way of taking some process, some information, some particular IP, intellectual property that you have and that you want to offer as a service to other people, but you don't want to offer the source code or you don't want to package it. You want to make it accessible through the cloud. So an API is basically a way of wrapping these services wrapping these services behind a way for other people and other apps to access it externally. So for example, I think in the case of OpenAI, the services that they're wrapping is machine learning models, large language models, image generation. But for example, I think I why am I not parametric camp chat GPT? All right. Exactly. So I have this video. We did this video of how to build your own chat GPT app. You know, to build how you build your own chat GPT app, where we basically wrote an app that in the background was using the OpenAI API, right? So again, why is this important or why is this interesting? Because what this basically means is that it is a way for you to wrap a service in a way that can be consumed by other computers, other softwares, and across a network. So it's very useful for human-computer interaction projects or for making different pieces of software talk to each other, for example, is the foundation of a lot of network communication that we use these days. And it's very useful for building applications in general. So I kind of want to dig a little deeper into how to make our own API. And I want to touch on topics such as how do we build an API? What kind of services can we wrap around an API? What kind of apps can we build that consume an API? How can we, I don't know, how can we make cool things such as, for example, use Grasshopper remotely so that from our phone, we have an app that requires some mesh manipulation, and then we have an API that has a Grasshopper in the back and then does this mesh manipulation and returns it back. Or how can we download some random machine learning model from the internet and put it somewhere in the cloud that can be used for apps that we use, you know, that kind of stuff. So that is where I want to situate myself in with this list. So with the list, what I would like to do is I would like to, what do I want to do? I would like to write and record a bunch of tutorials where we learn how to build an API from scratch, how to use it to consume other services that are living in the machine that is running the API. How can we put that API somewhere on the cloud and then run it? How can we consume that API with front-end applications? I don't know, stuff like that. So, hello, API 4. I don't know, maybe like a Cloud AI to do most of my programming. Is Claude good? I only do Copilot these days. API is the server between you and the kitchen in a restaurant. Yeah, right? This one, right? That's the API. Yep. Actually, that's not a terrible metaphor, actually. That is not a terrible metaphor. Okay. Wait, you watch ads? Yeah, I guess I get ads for my own videos. So, Scott, how do you use Claude? Do you have it integrated in Visual Studio Code, or do you actually have Claude open in a window and you just talk to it? Claude is from Anthropic, right? Yes. Oh, all right. Okay. So, in order to do that, in order to do that, we need to first plan the playlist. So what is that going to look like? So let's see. So streams Oh, 2004. All right. Okay, so let's write here a document, for example, API playlist. Playlist, and then the title is going to be, what is the title going to be? The title could be Fun with APIs. I think we've done this one before, or writing application programming interfaces. That sounds so, I'm already bored. No, I don't like that. It's just a window, and I was using Replit for the ID is also helpful. Okay. I really like that I have integration in Visual Studio Code. Is there any way to have Claude recommend stuff here? Autonomous software engineer, writing your continue, chat ID, open source. I don't know. Claude for Visual Studio. I don't know. Okay. I don't know, but so okay, so we'll see about videos. So first we should have a temporary intro where we explain what we're gonna do and that the thing is temporary, and then I wonder if it would be a good thing to just have like a teaser. And by a teaser, what is a teaser? A teaser video is like a very short video with little explanation of what's going on, of what's happening, very little detail of what I am implementing, but which builds an API from scratch real quick and deploys it somewhere, and consumes it with a front end app. So my purpose here is I want people at the beginning of the playlist to get a sense of where the playlist is going. So when they're done with the playlist, what can they expect to build and to be able to use, etc., etc. But I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna be like either using code that I've written offline, or like stuff like real quick, and but I can show them the whole process very quick from the beginning to the end, so that they can understand, oh, so by the end of the playlist, I'm going to be able to actually understand and write all of this on my own, you know? I think it's a technique that I saw recently in a book, where the second chapter was basically a, let's write this from scratch. I'm not going to tell you anything, I'm not going to explain it, but I'm going to show you the whole process from the start to the end, and then we're going to get into detail, you know? I think that's actually good because it gives people perspective of where things are going. And then, now question. I know the answer that I'm going to do, but for those of you in the chat, which language would you like me to record these tutorials in? What do you think should be a good language for building these APIs? I know the one I'm going to choose. This is not a poll. Like, I already know what I'm going to do, but I'm just curious about what your opinion is. Okay, so oh, Scott, nope. I'm not going to choose C sharp as much as I like it. Actually, wait. So let me random ideas. A video where I show building an API in ASP.NET. So that could be a good one, but that's just going to be one video. meaning at the very end, like, we've been learning all of this, but let me show you how this would look like if we were to write this in C#. But no, it's not going to be C#, sorry. Which could be good for other things, but not. Yes, exactly, Victor. So I'm going to be using Node.js for this one. I just really like JavaScript, first of all, and you know me already, I really like JavaScript. But at the same time, since we're going to be also probably writing front-end apps, I really like how seamless it is to just have the same language, both on the front end and the back end, even though the flavor of the language is actually quite different in both parts, but still, I kind of like it. And for servers, Node.js is actually getting pretty good. So what we may do though is, and this actually for sure is something that we are going to do, is a video where I show building an API in Flask, which is Python, and connect it with some machine learning model. I'm going to do that because if you're going to be building an API that is heavily machine learning oriented, to a certain extent, it might be better for you to literally just build the whole thing from scratch in Python so that everything is integrated. I think we're going to have videos in the main playlist where we build a server in Node.js, but then we consume machine learning models that are running in the background with Python, with an external call to Python scripts. But yeah, the main architecture of the whole thing, I would like it to be in Node. It's just also so much easier and nicer. Have any of you ever used Express in Node.js? It's just very, very lean and clear and straightforward. I don't know. All right, so video. So this is video, and then so this is gonna be the intro. So this is gonna be the intro part, and then we're gonna have a part which is going to be basics. What are we going to do? Oh, I need to save this somewhere. Let me put this on the desktop for right now. Okay. Where's my phone? I don't have my phone. I don't need my phone. It's fine. So what else are we doing? So for the basics, we're going to start with a simple API with a get endpoint. So what is this going to mean? What I'm going to do, I think I'm going to spend some time in the live stream today thinking through this, thinking through what I want to do for this. I definitely take recommendations from people in the chat. So a simple API with a get endpoint is going to be basically a video where I start, create a new project with Express, with Node plus Express, create a get endpoint with a hello something, create a get endpoint with hello something, and run it locally. Then show how to consume it with a browser. So that's going to be the easiest part, because then we just can go to the browser, we can go to localhost, get the endpoint, and then we get some kind of result. Okay? Then the next one is going to be query parameters. So a get request a get request that uses parameters to return whatever it returns. So we can, for example, expand the hello something to respond with a name. And we can add an endpoint with some and two values, for example. I think this is going to be super useful. Yeah. Yeah, because query parameters are very useful. Query parameters are basically, for example, I'm literally going to copy right now. No, actually, this doesn't work. So, yes. So, for example, if I copy right now here and I show you the link of the live stream right now, you can see that there's a question mark here. And then there's typically a bunch of, actually, let me do this here. So I'm gonna share this video, share video. All right, so you see how there is this question mark here, and there is like key value pairs afterwards, and you can have like some more like foo equals bar and this equals that, you know? So all of these are called query parameters, and it's basically data that you can pass to a URL, and then the URL will take that data and then will do something with that. It will modify the response that it gives you. It will store something in a database. It will track you forever and start giving you ads, you know, all that awesome stuff. Hey, Lamaraj, it's been a while. Hola. So this is also very, very useful and very simple to do. Now, the next thing that we probably want to do is a post request. So what we can probably do is add post endpoints for hello and some that take a JSON object and return the stuff. Why? Because sometimes the input data cannot be passed as a parameter. Okay. So for example, if you want to upload an image as part of your request, it's going to be super tedious to just pass it as a query parameter. Yeah. Hi, Imposure. Yes, this video, all the videos that we make, all the live streams we record, they go permanently on the website, so you can always check them out. And the videos that we are designing right now, we're going to start recording them over the course of the next few weeks. And we're going to, you're going to be able to use them, to consume them whenever. Okay? Now, this is the basics. And with this, I think we can already get pretty far. So I think at this point, I may want to do some hands-on. So for example, some exercises. You know how I like introducing exercises that are a bit more complex? So for example, can we make a calculator? So for the post request, how are we going to test it? We can use Postman. We can write an app. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, question. Before we get into writing our own API. Should I explain how to consume other people's APIs? So should I make some videos here where I write a front-end application to just get information from an endpoint or post information to an endpoint, like OpenAI? Is that something I should do before or I should do after? Because something that we need to do at some point. But it feels like starting the API by not starting the API, but by writing an app that consumes an API is kind of a, it feels necessary, but it feels a little backwards. It feels like people will want to start with an API right away, right? So we can use Postman to then to text APIs, but it's just so boring and so ew, you know? I don't know. What do people think? Maybe we can use Grasshopper. Actually, we could use Grasshopper. Okay, hold on. Ideas. Show how to consume. Actually, we think we have that. An APIs with Grasshopper. Get and post. I think I have videos with that. We do have videos with that. So intro. Yeah. Is there anything, any quick post request test app? Yeah, Postman. 16 best Postman alternatives. There's what? Catalan, Bruno, HTTP. Isn't well, we have curl, yes, but Swagger is nice actually. I like it. But does Swagger have a Swagger for Node.js? In Node.js with Swagger. Installation, install Swagger docs, Swagger configuration. Oh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. OpenAI's videos already cover the concept of an API. They do, you're right. Let's take a look at that actually, real quick. Where are the playlists? Fun with AI. What is the DALI API? How to get feature updates to OpenAI models. I'm surprised how little traction this video got. The one with the receipt parsers and ChatGPT. I thought this one was going to be much more fun for people. I don't know. But look at this one, 5,000 views. How to use DALI in Grasshopper. Interesting. And this one, 40,000 views. How to get your OpenAI. You guys know that this is probably one of my most popular videos in the entire channel. How to get the OpenAI API key. Isn't this ridiculous? Oh boy. Okay, I'm digressing here. So let's go back. Okay, so here I need to think if to show how to build a front-end API consumer first. Something, okay, here's an idea. Something we could also do is we could record offline a video or on a live stream where I actually build an app from scratch. That it's like a simple postman of sorts, and it has an input window where I can type in text or JSON, and it has a response window, and then I have two buttons, get or post, and an input box for the URL. And we can basically just tell people, hey, to follow this playlist, just download this app and you can use it for testing, and then we will show you how to build out from your own. Maybe that could be an idea. Build a generic get post web app on a live stream and point people to using it on an early video. Explain how to build it later. Maybe that could be a way to go. Hey, Tim. Tim Designs? Is that you? So, what else? Use the simple pre-canned app we will develop. Yeah, but I just don't want to get so early on the playlist into the mess of writing an app. And not because it's a mess, it's actually the part where you actually make the request is very simple. It's just all the front end, all the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript for the DOM manipulation. You get the request, you add it, like it's you know, it's a little too much too early. And I want to focus on the API part. Optional auth token, test it out with the OpenAI API. Create a simple calculator in the backend, then in frontend you can use websites that sends HTTP post request. So that's what I'm talking about. We write early on, and we don't have that as a video. We write that website, that web app that sends HTTP post and GET requests, and then receives the response and just plots the response on some kind of response window, you know? But we just offer that app as like a simple thing that people can start running right away. Like here, download this 3 files, open them, double click with your browser, boom, you're ready to go, you know? We may have course issues with that as well. We're gonna have course issues for sure. We're going to have course issues. We are going to have them for sure. When we work locally, that's gonna be a mess. You don't need to create the website, it already exists. Like what? Well, the problem is that if we have the server locally, if we're running a local server for testing, then a website that does post and get requests, like an online version of Postman, for example, will not be able to ping your local host. You know, Victor? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, no. Okay, I see what you mean. Yes, so we are going to do that, but that's going to be farther down on the playlist. So what Victor is talking about is this idea that you might be running a local server on your machine, but you may want to make it accessible from your machine to the overall internet, the world. So what you can do is you can establish a route from some kind of cloud service like ngrok, that when it receives a call, it redirects that call to your computer, your machine, and then it becomes the middleware between the cloud and your machine and your server that is running in your computer. That is definitely, we're going to do something. Recbin or Rec Ninja, I don't know those. Recbin test API with online REST client. I see. Okay. Yeah, this is exactly. This is basically like Postman and Rec Ninja. Red Ninja. No. REST API. REST Ninja. REST Ninja, exactly. HTTP. Or use Google Apps script as the backend. It receives HTTP posts and runs on Google servers. App scripts as backend. I have never used that. Google Apps scripts. What? Build web apps and automate tasks with Google Apps scripts. I've used a rapid application integrated with Google Workspace. I think I've used this for manipulating and writing scripts for my Google spreadsheets. I didn't know you could just like drop the Node app and run it here. I think that, but isn't this very integrated for Google Docs, Google spreadsheets, etc., etc. I'm going to, okay, random ideas, rec bin, or as alternatives to Postman. Okay. All right, so let's go back to here. So we have GET request, we have simple POST request, and I think at this point we are ready to now play around a little. Okay, so what could be a good hands-on exercise where we can just build a calculator? So endpoints for add, subtract, add, subtract, divide, division, multiplication, division, modulo, etc., etc. Square root, you name it. It's mainly for interacting with Google services programmatic, but I use Google Sheets as a database from time to time. Victor, can I invite you to make a video about that for the channel? I'm very serious. If you want to make a video about using Google Sheets and writing an app and use it as a database, you're on the channel already. Doesn't Daniel Schiffman do that? He does like feature videos with guests. You're totally on board. At us too. was featured in a video once. He wasn't really running the video, but he was like a guest in one of the videos or two when he was working on Remote Sharp. All right, what else can we do as an exercise? So we can build a calculator. What is something that we may want to... Wait, what is this? So we can plan it offline sometimes. Anytime you want. Just shoot me an email. What else? So what could be another good example? So something we can do is, for example, we can ask our API for the weather. But then in order to use that, we need to use some other service for that weather. So we will need to write an application where our server is the API, but then it also becomes the client that is pinging some other API to receive that information, which is perhaps a little too early here. Perhaps a little too early. Okay. What could be another interesting application? I mean, we like design and we like geometry, so how about this? Some kind of geometry manipulation. So vector algebra. So for example, we can do that. We can upload two vectors and then get the cross product. Or maybe even polyline simplification. Polyline simplification. So we send the polyline. But for that, it would be useful to have some kind of what? Some kind of app where we're drawing with P5.js, for example, and then we're front end app. I think vector algebra, we can probably just move it here. Is it possible to take, so maybe we can start from one of the drawing projects in previous videos. Didn't I have on the channel, didn't we have some kind of drawing something? Where did we do that? Exactly, web-based drawing. Did we not draw stuff, polylines or something here? Maybe we could add a video here where we build an app. Yeah, but these are full screen. Well, maybe we just build an app. Yeah, we can just build an app where we can draw a polyline and then we can send a request, get that polyline simplified, and then get the response. Which, don't get me wrong, it's a terrible use for an API because that polyline simplification, you can just do it directly on the client, but it's a case study, you know? Funny what you say. How about hosting 3D models and adding 3Js? You know, Tim, that is definitely happening. Yes. So Random ideas. Some kind of 3JS based app where mesh with, for example, mesh simplification happens in the server, for example. I don't know. Something like that. The idea, though, just to be very clear, the idea is that any operation that you could do on the client side, you probably want to do it on the client side, so that the resources and the computation happens in whoever is consuming the app. You only use servers to provide services when, for whatever reason, that process is very difficult to be replicated or to be computed on the client side, like machine learning, for example. Machine learning, there are only very few applications of machine learning that you can run on a front end. Actually, that reminds me, wrap up, what was his name? SketchRNN in an API and use it for completion. That's a very cool example that we're going to do. All right. Beautiful. So I think I like this. So this is going to be a cool exercise. All right. So we got the basics covered. What is the next thing we want to do? The next thing we want to do is going to be basics. So we have the basics, and then we're going to do what are we going to do? Tell me. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I think at this point we're going to show more examples of but I don't know how to call this, but for example, something that I want to do is image processing in the API. I want to write an example where there is a post request that submits image properties of some kind, and the response is an image, for example. And so what does that look like? So examples of that could be we just send a JSON, like, for example, width 500, height 500, background color 00000, right? And then we get an image. For format, for example, PNG. And then we get an image. We actually get a blob of the image. So the image is generated on the server and is given back to us. Another version of that could be we actually send the image. So for example, pixels, and then this is some kind of base64 encoding. And then, for example, text, for example, right, and location of the text, and 2 coordinates, and maybe you have text size, etc., etc. And then what we get in response is the same image, but with the text overlaid, and we get the bytes back. Or we can resize an image, for example. for example, so what could that look like? So that could be image generation from scratch, image processing, image generation from image processing, like resizing or cropping, and then, for example, image image editing, adding a text label to an image, for example. This is also cool. And this should be done. How is this going to be done? So what is it that I want to show? Because this could be the hands-on. This could be the hands-on, an image processing API endpoints, for example. And so we could get the image, but what do I want to show here, really? I think the main takeaway, base 64 encoding of images in base 64 encoding of images in JSON files, for example. That's probably what I want to do. Using npm sharp, using image magic. No, I don't want to use image magic yet here because this is calling an external process and that requires like some other. No, this is going to be later on, external processes. So external processes. How to call an external process from the API and serve its result. What could be an example for this? What could be an example for this? Like an easy example. What could be an easy example? Return servers API IP. No, that's a terrible idea. What if I don't know, we can call, what is a simple process that we can call from the command line that gives us a return the contents of a folder or something, but that's lame and useless. What could be? Write a simple bat file call a Python script. Maybe that's the one to go. Because at the end of the day, we're going to use Python later on, so why not? Maybe that's it. Connect a Python script to, we can extend one of the calculation endpoints to be executed in a Python script. Maybe we can do that. And then the hands-on, well, let's put a pin on that one. I don't know. But maybe it works, especially if it's just plain Python with no dependencies and no Anaconda environments and anything, you know, something very simple. Endpoints to be executed in a Python script, so hands-on. So extend some of the image manipulation endpoints to use image magic. Show an example of creating a GIF file from images using FFmpeg. Or extend. Or extract a frame. I don't know, something like that. Because the whole connection to Python, I kind of want to be a bit more, intentional about it, because that's probably how to call an external process from the API and serve its results. So Blender, show an example of headless processing. So processing can be run without the window. It can be run just as a command line tool. So maybe we can write something for that. Show an example of headless Rhino. Show an example of headless Blender. Show an example of connecting and processing data with what? Connecting and processing data with Rhino and Grasshopper. But at some point, I may just want to make a full section, geometry manipulation. And then just start doing a bunch of examples where we use all these packages to do advanced geometry manipulation, which is actually something that it's also a fairly okay use of an API to do complicated geometry stuff, which is a little harder. It can be done, I guess, but it's a little harder to do it on the front end. Headless Rhino is Rhino Compute? No, it's Rhino from the command line. Also, I think self-hosting Rhino surveys against it probably is. Yes, it probably is, but we're not going to get into that We just show the example, and if people have licenses or buy licenses or whatever, it's up to them. If this is processing, maybe this could be done here. Okay. Also, is there P5 for NPM? P5.js NPM? And can this be used? Can this be used on a server without a context? I don't know. Maybe we need to check it out. Can we use P5.js headless on a server? Contextless on a server. We need to explore that. Ooh. Hands-on. And then probably we want to get to the machine learning part. And we probably want to show how to serve a prediction from the API. And this one is kind of a fool because, I mean, there are simple models that we can run in Node or Node.js. I guess directly, like linear regression and that kind of stuff. How to serve a prediction from the API. Show a simple linear regression model. So that could be, for example, how to serve a prediction from a model that is not integrated in the server. A Python model. And then hands-on, show a bunch of models served from Python models. So I hear this would require us to just go online and start finding models that we can download, that we can deploy. Or here we definitely show an example of Compass. We definitely need to do this. Compass. I don't know how it's written. The ETH project. So a bunch of models are from Python models. We research easy models to deploy locally and run. Excuse me. Okay, we got that. Research easy models to deploy locally and run. And we would just need to to look them up. And after that, what about physical computing? Ooh, I like this one. Physical computing. So, physical computing. Show an API as a way to interact with a physical object. We probably want to use an Arduino and turn a blinky, for example. And then something a bit more hands-on. Use an Arduino to read the temperature of a room from the API. This would be really cool. Same thing on a Raspberry Pi. That's going to be a bit more complicated because literally I don't know how would I live stream from a Raspberry Pi, or how would I deploy all of this in a Raspberry Pi? I don't know. Maybe wait until we deploy. We show how to deploy on a Raspberry Pi. I don't know. So in external processes, I'm actually going to here external APIs. Consume other APIs from our own. And then show example with the weather, for example. Or OpenAI, for example. Oh, OpenAI, yep. So this, what this basically means is, how can we, from our app, make requests to other APIs and then get information back? Physical computing. This is gonna be super fun. It's gonna be awesome. Is Compass easy to use? Never used it before. I have not used it. I used it once many years ago. It's really neat, and I think it has gone through a lot of development lately. It's actually quite interesting. I think in my head we were going to write some videos about it at some point, but I don't know. Data, persistent data. Now, show, put and delete verbs for adding info to the API, and just this, and this is going to be two ways. Show, put and delete with a variable in memory and writing two files. And then what else? Add endpoint to read from that data. And that's going to be what? Discuss variable ID routes. extend the above to use an actual database. Mongo, for example. Locally and cloud-based. I wonder if this, which sounds kind of interesting and important, could be moved somewhere earlier. What could we do for a hands-on here? An app for tasks and to-do lists. I mean, I guess this is super typical, right? We're going to move this closer to the top. Are we? So you have basics, image processing, external processing, geometry, machine learning, physical computing, persistent data. It feels like it should be a little higher. And also I may bump machine learning and external processes higher up because I need it for school. Okay, and then I think after this we are ready for deployment. Show how to serve a pure Node.js app from render.com. What else? Show how to deploy in DigitalOcean. Show how to use ngrok to connect to your local instance. Show how to deploy to a Raspberry Pi. We could do that too. Can I implement an ELISA bot? As a hands-on, implement an ELISA bot. And then I think at this point we are pretty good. And we've done a bunch of videos. This is a lot, actually. All right, folks, how do we feel about this? How do we feel? I'm feeling okay with this. I mean, it needs a little bit of polishing, but it's a good place to start. Yeah, I think I'm going to spend a couple months working on this list. It has potential. I like it. Now, this list assumes one, that you know how to write JavaScript, and two, that you're slightly familiar with Node.js, or that you will become familiar with Node.js. temp intro. Pa, 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 pa. Specify somewhere that this is for intermediate users familiar with JS. Yeah, because I still don't have a JavaScript. Should I get my stuff together and make a JavaScript playlist? I just don't have the time right now, but I really want to get that done at some point. I really need that, actually. And what would that look like? It would literally be a playlist that it would be very, very similar to the C# one, but with JavaScript. And maybe I would just record one video, which is, if you know how to write C#, this is just a 1 hour video on how to learn JavaScript. That's it. But yes, we're not going to get into that anytime soon. No, this is more important. It has precedence. Yes. Okay, folks. I'm not ready to start recording any of this today. I want to marinate. I want to marinate it a little in my brain. Exactly, how to learn. If you know C#, this is the crash course, 1 hour. This is what JavaScript looks like if you know how to write at least in C#. And then let's move on, you know? So, I'm not ready to record any of this today. I need to marinate it, and I probably will want to polish some of this. So we're probably going to start with the next live stream to record these videos. But it's going to be super fun. I really like writing simple server stuff because it's actually really neat for making things talk to each other, you know? So yeah. So yeah. And maybe what we can do, maybe we can just kickstart this, and next week, maybe we can just record a bunch of videos during the week, and then to get the ball rolling in a nice way. Okay, what do you think, folks? Are you excited about this? It's gonna be super awesome. And you're gonna feel really nerdy writing simple server-based code that you can then put online and communicate with from your phone. Ooh, that would be cool. Like how to consume this from your phone. How to consume the API from your phone. See temperature at home. That would be a really good video. All right, folks, I'm gonna go. I am slightly embarrassed to assume to admit this, but I have to make laundry. I'm in a really tough spot laundry-wise right now, so I need to do some home duties. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. I am looking forward to starting this playlist, and I will see you next week, maybe earlier than Friday. I don't know. I need to plan my week, but good to see you all. Excited about starting the semester in September. A lot of students, a lot of interest. It's always great to do this. See you. Bye bye.